Hey everybody, Johnny DriveBYE here. Today I've got a show with one of my favorite YouTubers, Isethoriginal. How you doing, Iseth?
Hi everyone, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great myself. No, I think I subscribed to you maybe a year ago, probably a year ago, but I didn't even when I first saw you, I just thought you were a big fan of Logic's, and I'm going, oh, cool, nice. I think I sent you a message or commented to you, and then yeah, but you're actually you live together, don't you?
We do live together since quite a couple of years. Yeah, quite a
Okay.
decent amount of years.
Yeah. Well, what is your story? Did you go through a conversion story, or were you always kind of on the activist thing, or
I
just
was a weirdo. I was a complete weirdo because you see, um, aside from the fact that I was kind of always seen as the foreigner where I was living, because I was like so super pasty white and everyone thought I was Russian.
well, you do. I would have guessed Slovenian or something like that.
No, no, none at all. I was basically in Poland after I was already an adult. But it was fun because I was like this little tiny person, basically living for like years and years, always in the same spot, and I was constantly still considered a foreigner because I was just whiter than the rest, and it was weird. So I had already like this slightly you're the weirdo, you're the foreigner person story, and so I wasn't really like social with people too much. And then on top of that, we had this whole, you had religion at school, basically, state sponsored lovey-dovey, religious garbage. And they told us all these stories. And so I was like, that's interesting. And so I checked it out myself because, you get baptized and confirmed and stuff because it's Catholic, right? It's all Catholic over there. So I had my own Bible. I got my own Bible. And I was reading through the stuff, and I was like, that guy is so creepy. And so without most of the people noticing, very secretly, so that I wouldn't upset anyone, I tried to make buddy-buddy with the Satan because, God and Jesus were just such horrible creeps. It's like, do you really have to kill your own kid? Are you fucking crazy? And then you let the other guy nearly kill his kid too, and then you like drown all the people. That guy just really was creepy to me. And so I was like, okay, when I die, I want to make sure that I do not have anything to do with this guy. I want to be as far away as possible. And so I tried to make buddy with Satan. But no one had to know because otherwise they would get upset, So yeah.
I was kind of, well, I was raised completely atheist. My mom is, my grandma is, my great grandma is, or was, I should say. But I think Jesus was more like something he said when he got hurt. My dad, I never bought into it either, I guess. But I guess, in fact, I was ignorant of it. I really didn't even know what was going on until I was like 20. But yeah, it doesn't make sense, does it?
Well, the time where I could get indoctrinated, you kind of missed, so it's kind of good.
Does anybody, by the way, if anybody's got a question in the chat, please ask them because I don't have too many questions. You know that.
Wait, let me greet the people in the chat here. So, hey guys.
Okay. Hi, people in the chat. Hi, Mrs. Snarky. Hi, Godless Island, Staggers and Jags, Brian Stevens, and me. I'm in there too.
Oh, yeah, wait. You're in there too. Hi.
I'm doing a quantum thing or something, I guess, huh?
Godless Island, yeah.
He rocks. He's my neighbor in the state-wise.
He's your neighbor?
No, he's about 5 hours away, but he lives in Iowa, the state that we're kind of brutal enemies. We got a border there, a Mason-Dixon line, kind of.
I see.
So it's like we lob spitballs at each other once in a while. Nah, we're good buds. You were, oh, God damn, I just lost my train of thought.
And I didn't even say anything. I managed to interrupt you without talking. That's amazing.
Don't worry, I interrupt myself.
It's the lack of beer. I tell you, it's the lack of beer. You got
Is
to
it?
drink
All
more
right,
beer.
I better start drinking. This is my hometown brewery here.
Nice.
Oh, your last video, I was going to ask you about that. What was the name of it again?
Which was, I have to say, I kind of.
Yeah, sorry. I wanted to give a shout out to Secular TJ because I became friends with him on Twitter. Well, not friends with him, but
Nice.
subscribed to his channel a while back. But it was a great video that you guys did together on that. I liked it.
Secular TJ has like this super thing with like the music in the background, and it sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I can't get that done because every time I put music in my videos, it sounds like, half of the time you can't either hear me nor the music. It sounds kind of creepy. It sounds horrorish, but he manages to get it done. So I'm very happy about that. I let him do the music, or I did let him do the music during the collab.
We all got our own styles or whatever. I mean, and he's got.
Yeah, but I always got jealous about those guys because, they managed to get that done. And with audio, I just can't get anything done. When I talk into the microphone, half of the time I sound like I'm, recording 5 times, even though I record everything in one take. And that's because I just can't sit still in front of the bloody microphone. And then later I have to like audio correct it to make sure that it's sort of kind of even. And then these guys come along and it's just like audio perfect, music perfect, everything fits. Like, how on earth are you doing this, guys?
Yeah, I'm from old school too, where I gotta do it in one take too. But it's the editing. I hate editing. It's man, I'm getting better at it, but I don't know. I don't know how you can do it like that. I always have to polish everything up, so to speak. What would you call it? Photoshopping sound?
Oh yeah. Yeah, the worst part, because I have to video edit a lot, the worst part is when the timing is off, because I have to record the audio and then I record the video. And I basically have to bob to my audio. Like, not in the last video. In the last one, I was, kind of lazy, I would nearly say, where I basically just put in my puppet. Although, to be fair, sometimes that takes tons of work as well, because there I have to be timed as well. But in this case, I was kind of sort of more lazy. And so when I head bob, though, when I film, I have to head bob to the audio. And so when I'm off, every time I'm off, I have to like tweak, like make parts shorter, speed certain mini parts up, half second here, half second there, so that it doesn't look completely off. And then it sounds everything fine, and it renders, and it's half a bloody second off again because the preview of the video editor just doesn't show you the right timing. It's so annoying. It's really driving you nuts. And then you have to re-render it. And then sometimes I'm like super lazy. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm an amateur. Guys, you can live with half a second delay. You wouldn't realize it anyway because you don't see my mouth moving anyway. There, play. I don't know.
We can't. People hate that. I'm good with sound, but when it comes to the video and putting sound together too, I'm right in the same boat with you there. I mean, oh man, it's frustrating because especially when you're doing a lot of rendering, because yeah, what can go wrong will. There's Murphy's Law in there, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, it's like if you make a render, the first render will be messy. You count with at least 2 renders. Like if you have to have a video, it's like, okay, first render, go drink a beer, do something. By the time you come back, either it crashed or you have to do it again anyway because you missed something, the background, something stupid, anything.
Oh, when it's one little thing, that's what it sucks because oh yeah. Oh well. Hey, is this shop talk now or what?
Shop talk?
Do we have any questions here? I've seen the chat for a little bit here. Mrs. Snarky says or asks, did you ever get into any trouble for not buying the program the state was sponsoring?
In what sense?
Not sure what she means by that. Can you clarify?
I guess we're in delay, so we will probably have to wait a tiny bit until she can actually respond.
Oh, maybe, you know what? I think I did slow down here. I was trying to get my sound better too on the replays of it or whatever, but maybe it is a 5 second delay or something on here. So
yeah.
quantumly. That for some reason, that maybe it's just because I've been paying attention to it, but I've been hearing more people talking about quantum physics lately. It seems like it's just been
quantum physics is this kind of magic stuff. I'm just not gonna get close to it.
I don't know if I want to try to start to understand.
I see. Mrs. Narki replied, she said she was given state-sponsored religious practice. No, I didn't get practice. I had it at school. We had lessons. We had religious lessons at school, public school. We couldn't just opt out. I mean, eventually you could, but then I was already a teenager. And by that time, it didn't matter anymore. I was like, let me into the religious class. I will make my homework there, pretending like I'm doing something. But no, we had basically a bit like in Canada, where we have like state-sponsored Catholic schools. Just in our case, it was all of the schools. So yeah. And then like you go into the elementary school all happy, first year of school, and then they start telling you how beautiful it is, that like God flooded everyone. Nice arc of Noah, you can like draw the animals that got saved. And I was the kind of person who would like also draw the animals that got drowned, which made obviously the teacher kind of upset, but yeah.
Well, it kind of gave new meaning to brothers and sisters back then, I guess.
Yeah.
Gotta repopulate the planet, guys. You got did it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, Brian. If you think you understand quantum physics, you don't. You don't understand them. I
leave quantum physics to the people who really like to read a lot. Because I just get cross-eyed, I read like half an hour to just understand like a very, very few basic definitions. And then eventually you just go completely cross-eyed.
Wait for the DVD to come out?
No, I wait for Logic to debunk it.
There you go.
By the way, his next videos will be all about crazy stuff that has a lot to do with physics. It's amazing. It's creepy. It's crazy. It's amazing. And you should have seen the script he made. It's like, I think like 15, 16 pages long, just script. Just like the stuff that he has actually sorted out. Like the stuff that he didn't yet sort out, that was, I don't know how much. It was madness. I think I didn't see him for like 5 days in a row, just completely nothing.
Does he just lock himself in the room and go at
it? I was like married to a ghost partially. You never really know, like Murphy's Law. No, not Murphy's Law. Thingy's Law. How's it called?
Okay.
The guy with the cat. How's the guy with the cat called?
Yeah, I think.
Thingy. Schrödinger's cat. Logic is there and not there at the same time.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it was very, yeah. But it's cool videos. Definitely cool videos. Definitely worth checking out. But it will still take a couple of days. Maybe because we have to also film it and everything.
Well, my video should be like, see, the Earth is round. And
what is the new Space Force thingy? Like Bloodless Iron just is like, will Isethoriginal and Logic move to the US and join the Space Force branch in the military? And like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but we will not move down to the south because we really like to pay a lot of taxes, and we also really like everyone else to pay our healthcare. So there you go.
That's you know what? I like that.
Not really, because, thing is, Canada is a bit off because you don't really have much choice. In places like Poland, the healthcare system is not great. It's okay, it's not great. But something they had there was that you had basic public healthcare coverage for everyone. Plus, if you wanted to have something done faster and quicker and more efficient, you would pay more, nearly double basically, and you would basically get served from a private branch. As a result, all of the money that you would spend more would go to the public fund, and you would basically extra sponsor the public. So everyone else was better off because you were snobby and went private. But these kind of things don't really work in Canada, because in Canada everyone is public and it's just completely public. And if you don't have healthcare whatsoever because you happen to be, I don't know, a foreigner who lives there and then it's not like a permanent resident or something, then you're basically screwed because you still have to pay tons and tons and tons of money, but you also don't have a choice. It's ridiculous.
Well, in America, we just go to the doctor and then they make you bend over and they stick a pineapple up your butt. And the bad part is you got to bring your own pineapple. So that's our system.
No, I really liked the Polish version of the healthcare system. And then the problem is because Poland doesn't have much money and they also don't demand much taxes because people are poor. It's not good. But as a system itself, as a structure, I found that a very, very good idea. And if they would implement something similar here in Canada or in the US or somewhere else, that would just like solve so many problems at once. It seriously would. And I really, really like that system. It's a post-communist country too. So, you know, they know how to do it.
Yeah. I mean, there's certain parts of caring about each other and taking care of each other. And I mean, healthcare is part of the commons in the sense too, for me, that if somebody gets sick or just has a little cold or something like that, that can spread, you know, and if you nip that in the bud a little bit quicker, well, then you're not going to spread the disease around as easy.
Yeah.
Their bad health is affecting my health, so that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, well, you know, it really depends on the healthcare system. In every country, you have to have a different kind of healthcare system because things just always are different. For example, when you look at the northern countries, Norway, Sweden, those kind of countries, until to a very brief time ago, nearly everyone was working. Every capable adult was somewhere in the workforce. And so as a result, they had a lot of money to put into healthcare or in social stuff in general. And so it would make sense for those people to actually have all the, you know, they call it full casco, you know, basically have all the care that you need. But then because of the high immigration, now you have a lot of people who do not work, which means the system is completely overloaded and they can no longer afford it. So now that system does no longer work. In the US, you have this huge problem where people are like, stop taking my money. And so they don't want to pay for healthcare. But if you want to have a working healthcare system, full on, you know, like for everyone, then everyone does have to pay and does have to pay at least partially willingly, you know, begrudgingly willingly to get it done. And as long as people like push against it, that will not really happen. The only thing you could do in such situations is, for example, demand and enforce a maximum payment for people, you know, for people with lower wage, that they don't have to pay their heads off just because they have a bloody cold and stuff. But that's about all you can do. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to persuade people. That gets into a lot of conflicting ideologies when you talk about that system.
You know, in every ideology, there are certain core elements that are at core actually true nearly, you know? It's just that every different ideology just goes too far. Every ideology just drags it on too long. For example, this idea that the state basically takes care of you up to a certain degree, that in and of itself is not a problem. The problem arises with all the things that are connected to it. The people who are voted in aren't voted in because they want your best. They're voted in because they want to stay voted in. And so they make short-term changes. Short-term changes are not good for the society because short-term changes means, or rather short-term, you know, results mean that long-term you will have to deal with all the shit that you haven't dealt with before.
You're creating bias on their agendas, kind of. I think that's what you're saying. And the politicians are going for their bias, then is motivating them in a different way than what the agenda should have been in the first place. And I think that's
no, and also, you know, when you have, for example, let's go. What do we have? ANCAPs, you know, anarcho-capitalists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they are right when they say we do not really have a choice to give the state money. The state demands taxes. You don't pay taxes, you get jailed. When they say at gunpoint you get your money taken away, they're sort of kind of right. There is not really a way around it, but they're sort of kind of right. They have a point. Their solution is not a good solution. At the same time, you have like those strong socialists who are like, you know, tax me 90% of my stuff as long as I get free healthcare and, you know, I don't know, free food bank and whatever, and I will be super fine. but they also don't quite understand the system, because you need a certain amount of capitalism, or like, self-development and way to choose your own path, because otherwise people will get demoralized. So sorry?
I was going to say that you're getting into another discipline of economic growth and all that too, though. But yeah, it's because it gets complicated when the politics come into there. But
no, all I'm saying, to make it very, very basic, is every ideology has its good and its ridiculous part.
Yeah.
And let's take every ideology, recognize the good parts, and take it into consideration, and just discard all the shit that it comes with, because that's the only thing you can do in the end.
Well, is it that easy?
Well, you can try at least.
I'm trying. That's exactly, that's my philosophy on life, I guess. That's how I live my life, is try to sort out all the bad things that are gonna be,
Yeah.
But the problem is we always bump into each other, and other people have different ideas on what they want to do, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing, though. Like, you have to struggle a bit and fight a bit, push in every direction, so that we don't really go off the deep end. Yeah, if you have too much, in one sense, having all a bit of the same ideas is okay. Having a monolith is okay. But when there are heavy changes and you have a monolith, then everyone goes into one direction, and then you will end up with very creepy stuff. For example, Italy had now this thing where for years and years and years and years, they just let in every immigrant, no matter who, no matter what, no matter whatever, to the point where you basically had 10 times more immigrants in a village than natives. And now suddenly they're just like, no, we're shutting all the borders. Everyone who comes with the ship or whatever, just send them back. We don't want them. So they go from one extreme to the complete other. And that is because there was such a monolith there.
Yeah. I've seen a couple of videos lately on people that go from the right to the left or whatever on their political views. And it's kind of weird to me, but and the thing is, until we can make a formula that predicts everything, the universe is going to be dynamic the way we're going through time, I guess.
Yeah.
So there is.
We have a couple of warning signs, though. There are repetitive warning signs that when you see them, you kind of know you kind of have to do something about it.
Yeah.
It's just that we never really do.
Yeah, we can make predictions, but yeah. So some people make the wrong predictions, though. That's the thing.
Yeah. Godless Iwan just went, hey, only 85,752 subs left.
I'm with you on that pineapple. Are you really gonna? You're gonna make it. You're gonna do it.
I hate pineapple pizza. But if I reach 100,000 subs, I will eat that garbage, and Logic will film that shit.
Oh, we gotta get you to 100,000 and make that happen.
Yeah, I should not drink and make bets at the same time.
Boy, I learned that lesson. I learned that lesson. Pineapple pizza is yummy, says Mrs. Snarky. Well, Mrs. Snarky, everybody has an opinion.
Yeah, and also, she should totally cleanse her taste buds. Then probably it will be a bit better. Don't take it personal, Mrs. Snarky.
When I look up and see something, pineapple on pizza. How did we get to this topic?
Yeah, it's just a recurring joke.
That's right. It was the Godless Island's fault. What am I thinking?
Yeah. Godless Island is cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess, like I said, there's a lot of people that make bad predictions. So, and they think they're right on their prediction. I guess that's it. A lot of people, everybody thinks they're right, and it's a push and shove game when it comes to all that. And I guess, I'll say it. I am the far middle when it comes to politics. I just stay out of it. And
yeah, that's maybe a good thing. Just staying out of it, because it's super toxic. It gets your blood boiling, and it gets you annoyed.
it's a game of freaking semantic masturbation is what it is.
Pretty much. No, and the thing that gets to me, the thing that really, really gets to me is I just can't really get too emotional about it. I can't get myself really too much into it. But then you have all of those people who, like, you know, they shove their heart in it and they shove their emotions into it, and it's like, okay. And then I'm like a horrible person, because that's always how I am. And then I start giving them contra. I'm telling them exactly the opposite of what I think or what they think, to see how they react. It's amazing. I love it. And it's horrible. And I'm a very, very nasty person. I'm really sorry to everyone that I offended by it.
Oh, man. Yeah. Like I said, it's a... Oops. Flipping here. Okay, there we go. No politics. Period.
Yeah. And thing is, religion is toxic enough as it is. We don't have to drag politics in either.
But I guess when it comes to religion, you can for me, on my point of view, I can put logic right on top of it and go, no, this is just the way it is. It's a fact. And with politics, they can skew that a lot easier for me, and because I have to really think hard about some of the shit that some of them people say. So
partially the problem with politics is that it's never really about evidence. You know, like when we talk about climate change. Climate change is a thing. It's just a thing. We have evidence for it. But when you don't have just to deal with the facts, when you have to deal with politics, then you have to add in all kind of nonsense. For example, yes, global warming or global climate change is a thing. But do we have the means in our country to switch people to another kind of energy without getting everyone, you know, either work less or completely out of money because they can't afford it, because it's much more expensive, because we can't implement it properly? How can we, you know, advance the whole, you know, go green thing in a manner that, you know, we don't get everyone completely off the grid and stuff? And those are all things that you have to take into consideration. And then it gets this huge, complicated clusterfuck where you have the people who are like, yeah, but we have all those oil workers. Do you really want to get rid of those? You know, poor guys, they want to have a job. And then on the other side, you have the people who are like, you know, who the fuck cares? They will find another job. You know, okay, McDonald's doesn't pay as much as an oil patch, but you know what? It is a job. And therefore their children will not, you know, cough their lungs out in a couple of years. And so you have all of those people and they all have a point, but now you're no longer dealing with actual facts. Now you're actually dealing with people's opinion, because there is no facts. There is no right and wrong when it goes about opinion. It's just opinions.
Yeah. I mean, well, before I started going on to the anti-theist kick that I've been in because I'm getting active, is I was in the climate change debate. I mean, I'd probably, if you go back to any potholer video, probably see me in the comments there.
Potholer is great. I love Potholer.
He was one of the first people I subbed to, and Desert File was the very first person I subbed to. And
yeah.
I think Wildwood Claire, I don't know. I haven't seen, she hasn't done anything for a long time.
She hasn't done anything for ages. I really miss her videos. She was one of like.
So do I. I really would love to see her do that morning coffee again, because that was so awesome. That I think, did she give Logic the shout out? She
was one of the first to give Logic the shout out. Yeah.
That's what I thought. Yeah, and that's how, I think that's how I found Logic, and then, well, I guess it's his fault that I got into the freaking religious debate.
You know. It's good. Logic has influenced a lot of people. He never really wants to know anything about it, so don't tell him. Do not tell him. He doesn't like it. But he has influenced a lot of people, which is good.
Yeah. I mean, I like the way the community is right now. That we're all pushing for each other, and you know, it's great.
I have started to just, because Logic has a very huge channel. And he focuses a lot on like basically dissecting every single claim, super detailed. And so I thought, you know, since he's focusing on that, I just try to get people with like lower subscribers and just start to make collab one after another. just to like get a few other people exposed. Now, most people grow much faster than I do, and then Logic does, and all of that anyway. So it's not like they're really needed, but it's fun to do once in a while.
Yeah. Well, it ties everybody together though, and because I guess I look at it this way: as an atheist, we all kind of have the same. As an active atheist, I have the same goal of wanting to get the word out to make people critically think, and I think that's the most important thing, and that's what Logic does for people. His videos, that's what they do, and that's what yours do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
no, and the thing I really, really like about the atheism group in general is atheism is the only thing we agree on. That's the only thing we agree on, and we can rip our thoughts, and throw mud at each other about everything else, right? So we have a huge diversity when it comes to ideologies inside of the community, and that just keeps it fresh, that keeps it vivid. So while I'm doing, a collab with a person, who comes from Mexican illegal immigrants, and then, a few months after I do a collab with someone who is completely off the band on the other side of the spectrum, people with completely different ideas, and then maybe I make a collab with someone who lived or lives in the Middle East. It's just very, very mind-opening.
Yeah, the next video that I'm working on, I'm gonna have Furlock do the argument against God existing, and I'm gonna go through it as sort of a thought experiment, I guess. But
now you make me feel guilty.
Why?
Because I wanted to make a collab with Furlock, but then something got in the way, and I completely forgot about it, and then I felt too bad to call and to ask.
Well, Furlock's not mad either, so.
Yeah, well, Furlock, you know where I am in case you change your mind.
He says, "Yes, mistress, I'll get a hold of you soon." But yeah, I'll have. I've been neglecting him. I haven't even used him in anything and he's so easy to do too, because it's basically just all I have to do is do the talking, and the animation's done for me already. So
yeah, no, I like that little doggy. It's so cute.
I was talking to my friend. He's from Britain or whatever, and he's helping me to get the accent a little bit different. But I'm thinking, yeah, but him kind of being a half Yank, half Brit kind of thing, it works for him. But
yeah.
But then again, Sherlock would be the London accent, and I can't quite get that yet.
Well, it's not Sherlock, it's Furlock.
Yeah, but the Sherlock Holmes is what he was referring to, that as what he thought. But see, that's his perspective, though. So you're right.
Yeah.
He's fun though, so. And nobody's got any more questions, do you? Why not?
I don't know. I'm just not that interesting. I'm a boring person. I have nothing to ask.
I disagree with you again now. You're very interesting.
I'm scaring everyone off, maybe. It's like, oh no. She would say something nasty. Let's just not poke her about this. Let's just not poke her about that. I don't know. Just joking.
I think for one thing for me though, I have a little bit of a problem with, and I deal with it. But when I see avatars, I always, what is it? It's called solipsistic interjection. I can actually come close to doing that. I'm aware of it, so I don't do it. But you start creating, if I read a fiction book, there's where I can't read. I can't read fiction. So by the time I get to the third paragraph, I'm making up my own story, and I'm off in ADHD world or whatever, going and yeah. So
in the sense of like you cannot put yourself into the shoes of the fantasy story, or what?
I start daydreaming after because I'll get on a subject.
I see.
It'll remind me of something, and I'll start daydreaming about that something. But if I guess that's why I'm a nerdy guy that way. I like reading science stuff or whatever more than anything, because it doesn't make me wander off. I stay interested in it, I guess. Yeah,
well, wearing off is kind of cool sometimes too, though.
Yeah, it helps me be creative, I guess. That's my gift.
Yeah, no, I like fantasy stories, not for anything else, but you basically can make thought experiments and no one can judge you because it's in another world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're looking at it from the outside. You're not involved with it. You're not connected to it. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Blue, I have a sister, but she's taken.
How many do you have in your family?
Hmm?
How many siblings do you have?
I do have one like sister.
Okay. I got one brother, that's it.
Yeah. Based on the comment section, what has been the most controversial video you've ever made? That is a good question. That is a good question. Because I have made a couple of controversial videos. Let me look at my own videos, because it's not like I remember that. You know, I know everyone else's stuff. I don't really know my own. Like, who watches my stuff seriously? Like, I wouldn't watch myself, you know. Joking. Let me see. Where are my videos? I did the thing I like is that I like kind of go into one direction where certain people expect me to, you know, make videos of a certain kind, and then suddenly I just turn around and go the other direction.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, I had this video where I was like, you know, Sargon had this petition to ban certain courses of universities. And his whole thing is, you know, free speech, you should talk and you should do. And I thought that's just completely hypocritical. So I made a video about that, and that was kind of controversial-ish, I would say. Then I made a video, let me see. I don't think the candid controversy was really that controversial, because that was like a program where they basically said, yeah, the AI will tell you whether or not something is good or whether or not something is bad. And it's like, no, the AI is complete garbage. I mean, look at YouTube, and that's it. Then I went, let me see. Oh yeah, and there I was bashing Armored Skeptic, because he just went like, yeah, it's a great thing, it's like awesome. And I was like, no, it's not, idiot. Then I made a Jordan Peterson one. And because I make a lot of Islamic videos, I had an okay-ish amount of Jordan Peterson fans who are following me, because they also like Islamic bashing videos. Mm-hmm. And so now I kind of make a couple of Christian videos, because, like, you know, I have enough of Islam. Certain things are just super depressing, and Islam is one of those. Like when you get emails of people who send you videos where they have kids beaten up very badly just because of the fact that they were not praying properly and stuff, it just gets to you. It gets to your throat. And so I figured I just take it easy, and I go a bit for the Christian stuff, you know. And for once, I can also use my brain, because if you look, for example, at the collab I made with Godless Engineer, that guy is actually not one of the bad ones. Like, people always think, yeah, people like creationists and stuff, Kent Hovind, they're horrible, they're like super bad, and they are like the bottom of the barrel. Mm-hmm. People have no ideas. In Islam, the kind of people that preach are far above the bottom of the barrel, and we would hardly take them seriously because of the craziness they spout. And yeah, no, that's about it. I don't think I have much controversial stuff. I should be more controversial, maybe.
And one gal she was from Moscow. She rented from us out in LA. Mm-hmm. She was I think she's about 28 right now, but she used to rent for us. But it's because it was fun talking to her about how she thought of like Putin or whatever versus the way, you know, because I got a different perspective on it. But I don't know. I had somebody asked a question here, and I'm trying to look for it.
What was she saying about Putin? I'm curious.
She kind of agreed with him and thought that he was okay or whatever. It was kind of indifferent, but she had been living in the U.S. for quite a while already.
There's one thing that even people always complain about Fox News is so bad, and other people are like CNN is so bad, and so on and so forth. I get it. They're very how should I say? They're making news and then they give it a spin based on their bias. However, there's one thing. Yeah, no, but that's why they spin it, you know. Yep. You have your audience, they have a certain bias, you have a certain bias, your bias has to fit their bias so that they will watch you. therefore, if you want to make money, that's what you have to go with. So the only thing you can do is, okay, I take the same thing that happened, take Fox News and then CNN or ABC or who the fuck knows what else you have there, and then just take them next to each other and compare them and see which one matches up and which one doesn't. And then I know exactly what is garbage, what I can discard of it. But in other places, especially smaller countries, you don't necessarily have that, especially when you have state-sponsored news media. Then you have one and one only view.
Mm-hmm.
And so you will have nearly the vast majority of the population not understand what's going on. So if Putin is bad for certain reasons, chances are the Russians haven't even heard about it. They don't know it exists. Like, to make a very creepy example, if you think about Germany, a huge chunk of Germans had no bloody idea that concentration camps were a thing. Just none, because they just never really got exposed to it too much. And so you go over there and you're like, hey, you have this horrible stuff over there. You're killing people off. And the people just fall off from every cloud because they're like, I've never heard of this, And the same with several places. Like, if you think Italy, the only reason you have now a completely different government is because it had a state-sponsored news media, and the people were super, super not content about what was going on in the government. So they started to use the internet to spread information. A lot of misinformation as well, by the way, but they spread information. The two populist parties that are in power now, Lega, that before it was Lega Nord, but Lega and Movimento 5 Stelle, those grew out of the, complete public disconnect with the media, with the state media. And from the basically mouth-to-mouth word propaganda. That's the only reason they're in power now. And so now that they're in power, you actually get news out. You actually understand what's going on. You actually hear things that are actually happening. That was not the case. You saw in England certain news about Italy that Italians just had no clue actually happened. And then in Italy itself, you had certain things that you knew were happening, but because the media wouldn't talk about it, you would never really be 100% sure how much of it was true. For example, there were certain incidents where with protests, the police would just basically mince down people. And those things just will never go out unless there are foreign people involved and they are part of this problem. You hardly ever hear about it. So, it's not written in the media. People know it happened, but you only hear it through, other people. So you can never be 100% sure that actually happens or it's just made up. It is very difficult in those countries to be neutral in any way.
Yeah, well, Wonder Lady has a question. It's she has the cutest voice, doesn't she? And I want to answer that. Yes, she does.
The one question I get asked the most is always, where is your accent from?
I can't pin it. I couldn't pin it.
No, you can't pin it because it's not a one accent, but it's every especially when you are from a group where other people, there are not that many people of that around. For example, if you are the only Hindu, then everyone asks you a question about it. If you are the only tall guy, then everyone asks you how the weather is up on top, right? If you're the only person with a weird accent, everyone asks you about the accent. It's the one thing that everyone needs to know, and it's the one thing you have replied on so often that you just don't want to hear it anymore.
I pick up accents real easy. Especially if I would go to Canada, I'd probably be going, hey, let's go back there and get that stuff and take some maple syrup together, eh? Yeah, I'd be talking just like a Canadian. But Minnesota isn't too far off on the accent, I guess. And I thought that was a question, but it's not. Created a what audience? Yeah, you know what? If you actually, when it comes to the media sensationalization, though, that's what bothers me the most about it. I mean, it's almost like some of the news anchors. Well, they're just talking heads. I mean, that's all they really are. But they're like, let's put it this way: people shouldn't complain about people idolizing celebrities or whatever because they kind of idolize the news guys, the ones that are complaining about the celebrities that people are idolizing. That's, I don't know. They glorify news, and it's what is news? It's usually bad stuff that sells it. So
yeah, and people get satiated very quickly, so you have to like pump it up more and more and more and more, and when nothing is happening, you have to like basically invent it out of nothing.
Yeah. I'm sure the demographics and the analytics come down to, if we're pulling on somebody's emotions, that's getting us more views and selling more. So that's what they go for. I mean, that's the market. I guess that's the way it works. So
yeah. Okay, I don't have a question. How do you handle the Islamic extremist comment that come after a video on Islam? I don't get too many threats, not anymore at least. I used to get a lot of threats, and usually they were DMs, you know. For some reason, Logic gets them straight on his comment section when he has them, but I always get DMs. For some reason, they're not really too much into, you know, showing publicly how much of a pain they are. But I have very interesting DMs sometimes. Maybe I should like eventually publish them. Some of them are kind of weird. Like, especially when they start telling you that they're going to rape your dad.
Jeez.
You know, like, I understand this whole, you know, I'm going to get you and I'm going to kill you and I'm going to, you know, rape you and stuff like that. Like, those threats are the usual, you know, don't take them seriously. Some asshole is on the internet, kind of, you know, probably he doesn't even know what language he's talking, kind of threats. But the ones where they start telling you that they go after your dad, I'm just like, what on earth was this guy smoking? What did he shove into his shisha?
I've baited a couple Muslims in comment sections. And I just look at it as people tossing their rhetoric out too. I mean, I don't know. Cultures clash somehow when we don't quite understand the context of each other a little bit, I think, and you probably know that better than I do. So
yeah, it's very interesting because you go to different places in different countries, and even though every country believes that the people there are like super diverse, it's really not that true. I mean, even in the US, where people just rip their heads off basically for I would say nearly stupid reasons, even there, you all have a common denominator overall. I mean, not everyone, hashtag not all, but in the vast majority of cases, there is always an underlying basis you base your way of thinking on. And it's never really about what you think, but it's about how you think. And that is very, very, very common in so many countries. Mm-hmm. And the US at least has a bit more, I would say, it's a bit more spread. You know, they have a bit more diverse thinking overall. But especially when you go to European countries that have been like shut and sealed off for so long, you really still see, especially because of the language, you really still see how ingrained the way of thinking, the pattern of thinking, and how different it is from country to country. It's super interesting.
Something for me that puts red flags up when people are trying to explain something to you is the ones that actually do. I'd rather see a robotic person explain something and break it down rather than seeing somebody going, yeah, this is and I mean, it's right there. You know that they're putting an emotional thing onto it. And I guess I don't know. I probably don't. I can't sit there and point out logical syllogisms to somebody, but I know that somebody's bullshitting me. So, so there is that.
Yeah. Blue asks for an example. Let me think. I was stopped in Germany and in Poland because I had one light not working. Right? I had like this huge travel. I went basically through half of Europe. I did that once, twice, 3 times or so. Is it smoking? No, I'm not smoking weed. I am not smoking weed. What the hell? So first I was in Germany and I got stopped And the police goes over, the way they always do, nicely standing straight, like as if they would have eaten a bloody broom. Do you know why we stopped you? I'm like, yes, I do know why you stopped me. My light isn't working. Yes, you drive with us now and you fix it. Okay, drive with them, bought a light, fixed it. Do not do this again. Fine, all good. Drove further, drove over the border, and obviously the light wouldn't work again, because the reason the light wouldn't work in the first place is because there was some kind of electrical whatever, and so the lights would constantly break, which is why I had to fix the car in the first place. I just didn't really want to do it when I had a long travel. So I went further. The Polish police stops me. Do you know why we stop you? And they super chilled, super relaxed, leaning against the car, looking at you. Hey, do you know why we stop you? And I'm like, yes, my light isn't working. And he's like, oh, why don't you fix that? And I'm like, because every time I fix it after 5 hours, it just doesn't work again because there's something broken on the car. And then the police guy comes and says, fucking cars, always the same shit. No worries, just go on. So that's basically the difference between Germany and Poland in a nutshell. No, it's very interesting.
See, that's what I'd love to get. I got to see Europe before I can't do it. I just like that fact that you're crossing borders into different countries, like it would be states, or provinces. So yeah. Yeah, that is a little bit of a different travel situation.
Chaosism, if you missed the last 50 minutes, you didn't really miss much. We were just talking about, how the world ends and everything.
No. He missed quantum cupcakes.
Quantum cupcakes, there you go.
He missed them. We already gave them out. That would be cool, wouldn't it? Hey, you want a cupcake?
Yeah. The worst about the cupcakes is first you eat them, but then you also have to get rid of them again. You have to move your body and stuff. The moment they invent cupcakes that taste super tasty, but then the moment they are in your stomach, they just vanish. They poof out of existence. That's just the perfect kind of cupcake for me.
Okay. I get it. Yeah. Something that, what is it on Star Trek? It's called synthahol. You're drunk at the bar, but when you leave, then you're sober.
Yeah, that would be so hilarious. We just bought recently. We saw this. What was it? Chocolate wine, and we thought, okay, so just basically chocolate milk with alcohol in it, probably, and it tastes like that. And we're like, hey, cool, something light, something you can drink. And then we looked at the percentage, and we're like, oops. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't drink that while we drive. But you wouldn't notice because there was just, you wouldn't notice alcohol because there was so much sugar in it. And it really, luckily we didn't drive because, we never drive when we have any alcohol in the blood. But imagine people who are like, yeah, I'm just getting a little sip, because you can have a little sip of beer, you can have a little sip of everything. And they drink a little sip of that. And then they end up being stopped and getting a ticket because they're over alcohol.
Yeah.
Oh my God. No, does that really exist? Chocolate barbecue sauce.
Chocolate barbecue? That doesn't even sound like. I was gonna mention something and say, well, the quantum pineapple pizza cupcakes, but that would be the worst thing ever, right?
Yeah, no, that would be bad. The thing is, I don't really have anything, for example, against pineapple when it's fresh. And I would shove that, for example, into chicken. Pineapple with chicken, I can have that.
Okay.
I cannot have cooked pineapple, and especially not on anything that is even remotely bread-like. I just can't.
I can see that, I guess. Yeah. The pineapple you think of as being like a fruit or whatever, and cold or cool, and cooked, it does flavor.
I was in Warsaw, and in Warsaw there were a couple of those hipster people. Everyone has their hipster people, and the hipster people in Warsaw were all into fruit stuff. So when you went to their places, you would have pasta, noodles with fresh pineapple. you know, fresh pineapple sauce noodles, you know, pineapple noodle salad, or strawberry noodle salad, or I cannot eat that stuff. I'm sorry, I just cannot. And when it's fresh, it's not even that bad. But when they cook the fruit and shove it in, it's like, what on earth are you doing? The only reason that stuff is tasty is because it's fresh. The moment you cook it, it's just, you could put in goo, you could put in jam. It wouldn't make a difference.
Oh, chaosism. I think we're getting to back to, Iseth said that, or that she would eat pineapple pizza if she got to 100,000 subs. And that's where the actually came from.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or quantum issue. Well, I can't even say that. Quantum-licious. There we go.
Quantum-licious.
Schrodinger's icing. What's that?
You know, it's icing that's there and not there at the same time.
Oh. Really?
Mm.
Okay, it makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, that was also something controversial. I said that agnostics are a bit like Schrodinger's pacemaker. That got a couple of people upset.
God is real. The Bible is true. Well, Blue, let me tell you. Good luck with that.
Yeah, I agree, Causism. Why would I do that to myself? I really regret having said that. I will stick to it though. I promise I will stick to it. If I reach it, I will do it. But I will be very, very, very sick for a long time. I can say that.
How did you come up with your channel name?
I didn't. You know, back when I was making my channel, names weren't really a thing. You just had like a user. And so I just put in a username that I happened to use a lot. And I just, you know, because you could keep your username as channel and it just grew, I just kept it. And I just keep keeping it. Yeah.
Keep having it.
Kept having it?
Can I use that?
Keep having it.
Keep having it. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, keep having it. Hey, I have an excuse. It's not my first language.
Yeah, I got 1,000 excuses for everything. I can even, yeah. And that's, wow, that's a lot. Blue.
Looking back though, because Isethoriginal, I took Iseth because ISIS was taken. In hindsight, I'm so glad that I didn't pick the first.
Oh, what was that? This one card or something on your phone or whatever was called the ISIS app or whatever for getting. It was going to be like you use your phone at the bank or whatever, and like a card or whatever. But it was called ISIS, and then it was like all of a sudden all that crap happened. It was like name change. This app, the app went out of business right away. It was like, that's called a really unlucky business decision, but probabilities.
How are you supposed to know that?
You don't. You don't.
There was a time when you said ISIS, everyone thought of an Egyptian, you know, personality.
I thought of that little TV series with Shazam, Captain Marvel, and this other thing called the Mighty ISIS.
Yeah,
that's what I thought of.
Yeah, no, it's really sad, but you know, you can't do anything about it.
Well, language is fluid, and what usually happens is they turn from pejoratives to. Then all of a sudden people become rebellious, and it's like, well, let's turn horror back into a good word, you know. So that's kind of the way, and they all just go up and down that wave. So yeah,
you know, the worst part is when you have like this personality that's like super horrible, and the people who were born before that person was famous or something, and they have that name. One of the most common names before the whole, you know, World War II thing was Adolf. A lot of kids were named Adolf, even still when the World War was going, because it was just a common name. And then over the years, it got such a stigma that partially the people who were called Adolf started to change their name, because what on earth are they supposed to do, you know?
Yeah. You're I don't even know too many Adolfs nowadays. I mean, I come from German heritage too, so.
Yeah. No, we had a lot of Adolfs around. It's not even that much of a German name. It's more nearly an Austrian name. It was more like an Austrian thing. We had a lot of Adolfs around, and we were in Italy, on the Italian side, you know, we had a lot of Austrians in Italy in a sense. But, you know, then this older generation, you know, when I was a teenager, they were like 50, 60, and there were just no young people having those names. And something also funny is the older generation, even my generation still, people learned English only from the ones who were born after 1986. Those started to learn actual English at school somewhere at some point, high school or whatever, properly. Before that, it was kind of an optional thing and not really that common. And so you have a lot of people who are not even that much older than me, who don't know English. And when parents, for example, were like super fashionable and chose an English name to give to their kids, I don't know, they liked a singer or something, and they went to the place where you sign the name of the kid, for a very long time you couldn't do that yourself. You had someone else do it. And so there was this family, and they went and said, okay, we want to call our kid Michael. And so instead of spelling Michael the way it's supposed to be spelled, they actually wrote M-A-I-K-O-L, Michael, because that's how you spell it, right? Because that's how you pronounce it. And so that guy goes around since decades and decades being called Michael, because that's his name. It's lovely.
Well, we're coming up on the hour. I don't want to thank you before we get there, because
are you like the kind of person who just, okay, now we reached the 1 hour, now we have just to like totally stop and let everyone run off kind of person? Like super precise?
I'm gonna say you can have your choice. If you're having fun, we can keep on going because I'm having fun. But
what happens on the hour? Yeah, what happens on the hour?
Well, I hope you're not wearing glass slippers.
The world collapses.
If you're wearing glass slippers, you're in trouble. No, I just got to thank you though, because this is awesome that you came on for a little chit chat, because this is great.
Yeah, it's fun. It was fun.
You've been one of my favorite YouTubers for a year now.
Nice. That's a long time. I've been so lazy those last years also, you know. It's like you see all those people making like tons and tons of videos, and I'm just sitting there, meh, tomorrow. Today I'm gonna watch weird, you know, stupid comics with the kiddo. Play.
I have to say, the Godless Island kind of picked me up and getting motivated again. I was kind of slacking off, going, this is whatever. You get burnt out on it though too. You get people always. It's like you're hearing the same stuff all over and over, but you get a little bit burnt out on it. But then it's like, yeah, let's get back into it.
You know, the worst thing to me is when you have to deal out with crazy, you kind of forget that there are sane people in the world too. So after you have heard for the 10th time that you have to not face Mecca when you go to toilet, you kind of start to forget that there are people who don't believe this nonsense. And then, you know, especially when you hear people in real life saying weird stuff, and you're just like, oh yeah, I could have expected that, you know? And so you go around with this expectation that everything is just crazy and everyone is just crazy, and you kind of lose a bit sense of reality, that it's not as bad in reality. I mean, it's not good. It's not good. There are a lot of people who believe a lot of nonsense, but it's just not as bad as it is when you have to constantly look at videos. And you really need to stop once in a while and just turn everything off, go play some video game or something, and remind yourself that there is something that is outside of the internet.
Yeah, but what if you got a couple friends that kind of believe crap like that too out in the real world? Then you're really in trouble.
Yeah. I had this discussion with my mother. I was super upset because I accidentally bought homeopathic cough syrup, you know, and it wasn't written properly. It's like super small somewhere in the corner. And I was looking at the ingredients and I'm like, this is garbage. What the hell? And I really got upset. And so I told my mother, and she was like, well, there are some ingredients, just natural ingredients. And I'm thinking to myself, Mom, you're such an idiot. Yeah.
Godless Iowan. He asked, "Who is cooler, Johnny DriveBYE, the Godless Iowan?" Isethoriginal. Oh, who's cooler, Johnny DriveBYE or the Godless Iowan? I'm sorry, I read it wrong.
Oh, I see. And I gotta pick now. I gotta be like.
You could say him.
Yeah, if I don't say him, he won't invite me anymore. And he's like this social butterfly. He constantly gets people socialized with each other. And so strategically seen, I should say Godless Iowa, right?
It is. I think it's actually a sociopathic move by him. It's just this little nuance kind of thing that he said. And you can plead the fifth on it too. There's
fifth. What is the fifth?
The fifth is you can plead the fifth by saying, I won't say anything that's going to incriminate myself in the United States in a court case.
Yeah, lucky you.
The fifth.
Yeah. Iowan, you are a social butterfly. You're the kind of person who gets Inane Dragon on Mr. 80's channel and gets the two off, you know. One super tired, the other slightly drunk, and they just like flame at each other. I loved it that way.
He's been Godless. Here, I'll give a shout out to him. Godless Island has been one of the biggest assets of the community that we've had. He's awesome.
No, he really does a lot of good things. Yeah, no, the social butterfly thing is just exactly what is needed sometimes. Because you have all of those atheists and they're all doing their thing. And then he comes along and he's like, okay, you have to know this guy and you have to know that guy and you have to know this girl and you have to know that guy. And there you go. You know, that's his job, I guess.
And I'm just one of them introverted people that doesn't go out to try to meet new friends. So,
well, what do you need
friends
when they're all on the screen, you know? When they're on the screen and they text and you're not really into visiting them or into seeing them, you know, you have a cop-out. It's like, oh, yeah, well, we had no internet. Sorry about that, you know?
What? I can't see nothing. I didn't hear you. Chaosism. I'm leery of that weird Godless Island. I know, right? I mean... My job. Other people exist. How true. Other people exist. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
But how do you know? Can you prove it?
How do you know? How do you know that you know? Do you know anything? Can you know that you know? Oh God, yeah.
Circular reasoning and all the right seasoning. I don't know where I'm going with that. So, well,
prove it. Yeah.
Does anybody have any more questions for Iseth?
Let's say it differently. Does anyone have anything funny to say? Anything funny to add? You know, throw the weirdest thoughts you have on us.
I don't think I could roll my F's like you just did right there.
What? Rolling what?
Yeah, how you roll the way with your accent. Yeah, I can almost do it.
Yeah, well, you have this TH. I never really got that. I never really got that properly without spitting at someone.
See, to me, it feels like I'm trying to spit or something, so I feel afraid to do it. I feel like
No, this TH, this tongue sound that you have, I seriously avoid it as the plague because every time I actually use it, I'm spitting either at the screen or at the microphone or at something. It's like I'm gonna have like a tissue in front of me when I try to use TH.
It's like proofread the script. It's like, well, I'm not gonna be in front of you.
No, I usually say F. You know, F like.
Gotcha. Yeah. So
because when you say F, you just use the lips and the teeth, and there's just no spit involved.
How bad do Logic's hellbound farts smell?
Like sulfur.
Like sulfur? Okay. Are they extra warm or?
No. But have you ever smelled sulfur?
Yeah.
It has like this weird smell of like decaying egg.
Yep.
Decaying foul egg. It has a very, very distinct smell. And because sulfur is very, you know, when you have magma coming up and stuff, it often smells like that. So whenever I think about hell and farts, I think about sulfur for some reason.
I think about Yellowstone when I think about sulfur.
I have no idea about Yellowstone.
One cool place, that's for sure.
Okay.
Not as cool as some of the places up by Canada, like Banff and
Banff is cool. Banff.
Jasper and all the mountains there.
Okay. How frequently do you get creepy compliments about your accent? Constantly. Yeah. Because people try to make compliments, but then, I'm a socially awkward person, but there are people who are just more socially awkward than I am. And then it ends up completely creepy, which is kind of cute. It's like, hey, see, I'm a social, but so are you. Let's be friends. But sometimes they really have like completely weird ideas about the accent. When they say stuff like, when you roll your R, I just like want to wrap myself in my cover. And I'm like, what is so sexy about an R? Like when I hear R, I get cold. I feel like I'm in the middle of a snowstorm when I hear too many rolled R's. And they're just like, oh, it's so nice. It's so awesome. It's so warm. And it's seriously?
The Godless Iowan asks, when does Beelzebub get their own channel debunking? Oh, Beelzebub get their own channel debunking other toddler theists. Wow, why did I stumble on that one?
Yeah, we have established before Beelzebub was even born that we will try to keep her off debunking and religious stuff as much as possible until she actually wants to join, because we hate when kids get indoctrinated with religious garbage, and so we will be the last people to do it to our own kid. Like when someone comes along and teaches our kid you go to hell, we will give it counter as much as we want, but we won't set our kid in front of a camera debunking nonsense, because that's just not kid friendly that much.
Probably not, right?
But I can't guarantee that she won't just start herself, because she's a smarty. She's just like 3 years old, but she's a hell of a smarty. So she will come over and figure out exactly what she has to do to get daddy to do what she wants, to get grandma to do what she wants, to get grandpa to do what she wants. She gets everything if she wants. She's a smart as hell. That's
pretty articulate what I've seen in that one video. Wow.
Yeah, and funny thing is, because, for example, the time when he went over and asked about the slaughterhouse and hell and stuff, she had no idea what he's asking. Zero. Because we took that all in one take. We didn't cut anything. Right? We just went over and we were like, hey, do you want to go to heaven? And she was like, sure, okay, whatever. And then went like, hey, do you want to go to slaughterhouse? And she went like, yeah, sure, I want to go to slaughterhouse. No fucking idea what you're talking about. I want to go to slaughterhouse. And then we could just take the whole clip and put it in like that. And then eventually she came over and she went, Mom, I want chocolate. I want slaughterhouse. And no, that's not that's not slaughterhouse, baby. That's not slaughterhouse.
Yeah, until you at least get some sort of a description of it, you're not going to understand it. I mean, for me, there was one thing that I didn't know. I thought everybody had a ringing in their ears when it was quiet. And I didn't realize that I had tinnitus my whole life until that was only a couple of years ago that I discovered that. I thought everybody had ringing in their ears, but I guess it's just me.
It took me very long to figure out that I'm nearly deaf on one ear.
If it's something that's like the ringing in my ears, what I understand is if people do get ringing in their ears as they're older, they go crazy from it because it's a constant ringing. I can tune it out and not really think about it, but
that's interesting. That's cool.
Yeah, and it helps me stay in pitch too because it stays the same key.
Makes it easier to sing, you mean?
Yeah, I have a reference note. Chaosism says you too, huh? Well, yeah. It's interesting, huh? Just wait.
Bodies are creepy. Like if they would come along and be like, okay, now we replace every single body part of yours except of your brain with like machine stuff that will actually work. Let's not make it from Windows because Windows probably will make that stuff, go blue screen every so and so often. But if they manage to get actually some proper like bodies that work where you don't get back pain constantly and stuff, I would totally switch. I would volunteer. I would volunteer to switch.
I think I was having a conversation with one of my friends the other day about, you know, the brain in the vat thing or whatever. He was, because he believes in a supernatural being or whatever. But he always ends up trying to convince me. It's like, dude, it ain't gonna work. but we were getting on the subject of, and why not? I'd love to have a chip in my head that I could just access the internet and just think about it. That'd be great.
To be fair, that one is the one where I would be very careful.
Yeah, if you're talking about it, if I knew more about it, yeah. Well, that's the thing. If you don't know anything about it and how our neurology is all about, that it seems mysterious. And
every time I hear the whole chip in the brain thing, I have to think about Deus Ex Machina, the video game, because that just represents so many of the problems that would happen with this kind of technology, where, you know, you just have to have the company to mess up, not even on purpose, just to mess up, and you're screwed. You just have to have one AI that is connected to your chip to, you know, go berserk, and you're screwed. You can't do anything about it. Like, the moment the chip has a certain amount of control over you, even just of the data that you get in. I mean, the main reason we have, you know, problems with, certain stuff, YouTube shouldn't be too much into restricting what people can or cannot say, or Google shouldn't restrict what you can search for or not, except if it's like super illegal and stuff. There are reasons why people are upset with it and why people, you know, urge to be careful with it. And that is because if you restrict the knowledge of people, if you restrict what they can say or cannot say, you will end up with people being exposed to it without any kind of antibiotics, I would nearly say. I mean, it's not really antibiotics, but similarly. For example, if I have never heard about Flat Earther, yeah, and I hear a Flat Earther, but then the internet doesn't allow me to check out Flat Earth and to find all those debunks of Flat Earth, then I can just take it for granted because no one is actually contradicting them. If I, for example, find someone telling me we're all made of glow-in-the-dark paint, you know, I will be like, yeah, I kind of learned something different in school, but then they bring super convincing arguments and I don't know jack shit because after high school I stopped and stuff like that. And I go online and there is no way for me to find any counter argument to that or anything that's even remotely connected to that. And I'm like, you know, maybe we are made of glow-in-the-dark paint. So there's a huge danger with not allowing everything in a sense, and also not allowing the counter of everything.
I mean, one thing that I always did before I even started watching debunking videos is I'd always look for the counter argument to anything that I saw on YouTube, and maybe that's a good advice to somebody. Just look, if you see something that you think might be true, look at the counter argument for it, and you might find something that save you from going down the road of insanity of ending up a flat earther or something.
Yeah, no, and now imagine you have a chip in your head, and the chip basically filters out everything. Like, for example, a chip that, because there are people who cannot see, right? And so you have a camera in their eyes, you know, you implant a camera, a chip that filters what you can and cannot see. And that camera filters out a particular kind of person or a particular kind of, you know, incident. So you go along all your life and you cannot see, for example, cars, or you cannot see, you would know they exist. You know, you would be able to stumble over them and not know they exist. It's kind of creepy if you think about it.
Yeah, I guess.
And then you just have to have the weird hacker who comes up with the idea, okay, now everyone who has this chip, let's just everyone turn, you know, their eyes off, right? You're driving there with your chip, with your, you know, Wi-Fi chip, driving with your, you know, car, and suddenly you don't see anything. And you just bump into the next thing because you don't even realize you don't see anything because suddenly just someone turned your Wi-Fi off. It's crazy.
But here's the question that I have then. Is that chip actually involving your sight? Does it control your sight? I was talking about a chip that I just can go, hey, what's the weather going to be like in Dallas?
Yeah, but the problem,
but nothing that would control anything that would change my mind.
Is chips in and of itself are just, to say it's super brutish, they're just connections, right? They're just, you know, connections that basically transport data and reprocess data and sometimes have data programmed into them. if we have any kind of way to connect with them to the internet, and they are capable enough of dealing with data, of gathering data, of keeping data, people can write into your brain whatever they want. Whether it's good or bad, it doesn't matter. They can turn you into a Nazi from one day to another.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll still put it in. I don't care. I want to. I want to know where the nearest restaurant is.
I think the best way to deal with this is everything that's in your body should not have Wi-Fi. Everything that's outside your body should have Wi-Fi or can have Wi-Fi. So whenever you have a whatever thing that doesn't work, you can just throw it away and get a new one or a different one, or reprogram it without actually having to deal with your body. I think that's a good solution.
Yeah, or just make it a socket where it plugs in or plugs out.
Yeah.
Then you can manually yank it out of there and disconnect. I don't know. I can see if you put a chip in you that totally can control you, though, then then you're talking whatever else. That's a different topic.
It depends. It really depends. Like, it depends what kind of chip you have. If you just have a chip, even if you have a chip that shows you where the restaurants are. Yeah. Let's say there is someone who pays a hacker to make sure that his restaurant is the only one that you find when you have the chip in your head. So now you're like, oh my God, there's like only McDonald's around. There is no Burger King, there is no A&W, there's no nothing, there's only McDonald's. Okay, let's go to McDonald's. Even though you would basically have, an R&B or whatever other nonsense you want right next to the street, maybe a fancy Italian, you wouldn't find the fancy Italian because, the fancy Italian didn't pay the hacker to put the data into your brain. So it's still kind of annoying.
If I get that chip in and you see me going to McDonald's, tackle me and pull that chip out of my head. Okay?
Yeah.
That ranks up there with pineapple pizza.
Yeah. Well, was pineapple pizza invented by some fast food chain? Is that where it comes from?
Here's where it comes from. In Hawaii, when they have a luau, they throw a pig in the fire pit and they throw pineapples in with it and cook it. And that's where it's actually in some places called the Hawaiian special or whatever.
Okay. That's what they call it, Hawaiian pizza, I guess.
The pineapple pizza, Hawaiian special or whatever you want to call it. Usually it's called a Hawaiian special. But that's where it comes from, is the pineapples. That's how they cooked it. Threw it in a pit and cooked it and threw the pineapples in there to flavor the meat.
Yeah.
Did I just tell something about? I think it's the truth. Pretty sure of that.
I'll check it. I'll fact check it later.
You better. I'll have a video going. Johnny DriveBYE doesn't know nothing about pineapple pizza.
maybe that's a caveat that everyone who, if there are people who follow you who don't follow me, you should totally subscribe to me because I have awesome content. There you go, pleb. Something that everyone has to always be aware is no matter how much any one of us fact checks, you, me, anyone, Logic, especially even Logic, because he's the kind of person where you have to dig very deep to find a mistake. He makes a lot of mistakes, right? And there will be people who point it out. You can never take what people say 100% for granted. If you take something as a data source, as a fact, then the best thing you can do is to fact check it yourself, always.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say anybody, that goes for anybody, because checking the sources and all that. I'd never make mistakes, though. I don't know about you, Iseth.
Everyone makes mistakes. No, I would say because see, many people who, for example, I don't know about your videos, but many people who watch my videos, they do that kind of stuff after work. You're tired, you're exhausted, you just want to have a nice debunk, you just want to have a bit of entertainment, you listen to a video, right? It's like watching a movie, just in that case, is listening to Iseth because she has a squeaky voice, it's fun. So you do that, and she tells you a couple of things, right? She tells you this is written in the Quran, that's written in the Quran, and therefore what the guy says is wrong or right. Now, unless you actually have vested interest in knowing it, if you need it, then check it. If it's just something you hear, there is no real reason to check it, unless you actually want to know, but there is no real reason to check it. It's like, okay, I've heard it. She says it, whatever, I just want to chill out. And there is no point in really checking everything, because otherwise you get nuts. But if you actually intend in using it, then you have to fact check.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can get too carried away with stuff too, or whatever. Where, yeah.
No, because imagine fact checking whether or not it is true that people don't want to sit or don't want the toilet to face Mecca. Like, why on earth do you really have to fact check that shit? You're not your toilet can face wherever as long as it flushes and it has toilet paper and maybe it's clean, probably disinfected and stuff. You don't care whether it looks at Mecca or not. So you have no real vested interest to know whether or not there is a toilet that looks at Mecca or not. But if you ever end up in a situation where you have some very super traditionalist Muslim come along, and from Iseth's video that there are guys who are super traditionalists who don't want to go to toilet in a toilet that faces Mecca, you may want to check, and then you may want to go there with your little, thingy and see which way it points, if it points towards Mecca or not, and tell him to take the other toilet, just in case.
Isn't it more important, though, which way the toilet paper rolls off of the roll, if it's on the inside or the outside? Isn't that more important?
That is a struggle that is very common in the household of logic.
I thought that was the most important. That one would be a tough one to figure out if everybody does that or not. You can tell. Well, I bet you can tell if a guy's married or not.
I have developed a strategy to never do it the wrong way. When I have to change the toilet paper, I will not put it in, so he can put it in the way he wants it. And when I do the same with the kitchen rolls, I will always put them the wrong way, like his wrong way, my right way, because I'm the one who uses the kitchen paper the most. He always uses, Kleenexes and then toilet paper and stuff whenever he wants to do something. And so I'm like, okay, you have your toilet paper kingdom, and I have my kitchen paper kingdom, and we keep it split, We put a wall in between, like the state and the religion in the US, the law right in the middle, a nice cut, a nice fancy wall, and we stick with it. And then you can deal with your toilet paper and whatever and your Kleenexes, and I deal with my kitchen paper. And if you come over and you tell me my kitchen paper hangs the wrong way, take a new one and put it your way, because that's my kitchen paper. Thou shalt not touch it. Right.
I think that works pretty good then. I'm glad I'm single. Oh. Well. See, I always when somebody complains about me putting the toilet paper the wrong way, that I purposely, well, maybe I'll say subconsciously, I put it the wrong way all the time. Then for some reason,
yeah, no, it's thing is, I have lived in too many places to genuinely give a fuck about it.
Yeah,
the main reason it upsets me is because Logic gets upset about certain things. And whenever he gets upset about small things, because he's used to it, he's used to getting upset about small things. It's like a sickness that you guys have over here, because he's not the only one. I have seen so many people, especially in the US and in Canada, freaking about stupid nonsense, getting upset about stupid nonsense, where I'm like, dude, I would be able to drive in a car that has 3 wheels as long as the weight is, distributed properly. It's annoying. You would rather have a 4th wheel, but, we can handle this. We can deal with this, as long as no police stops us and stuff. I have a very, very different way of dealing with stuff than many people who surround me. And so when I see someone getting upset about minutia that I don't even, I don't register, it just drives me nuts. Like, how on earth do you have the time to get upset about this? What are you doing with your life?
Yeah, I don't worry about too much. Let's put it that way. When it happens to me. I guess that's the way I look at it. Not much I can. After it's done, I can't do nothing about it. And if it's gonna happen, can't do much about that either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then like it's usually stupid small stuff, Like, I don't know. What would be a common example? Having traffic lights going red constantly, or being in traffic. There are people who freak out when they end up in traffic.
Why is it you only notice the red ones?
Yeah, you always notice the red ones. When I'm in traffic, the only thing I care about is, oh, is it red? I have to stop. Oh, is it green? I can go on. I just can't be bothered whatsoever whether or not there is a red light. I also can't be bothered with, whether or not someone is like driving kind of weird and stuff. I'm like, okay, that guy's kind of dangerous. Let's stay away from him. But there are people who get really upset. Oh my God, how is this guy driving? What's wrong with this guy? And I'm like, oh, he's just an idiot,
I know what I'm going to do next time. Next time I go driving, every time I come to a green light, I go, fuck another green one. Fuck. I gotta go again.
Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, just turn it all the way around.
Yeah. No, it's funny to gather all the stuff up sometimes, because you can, and they won't even realize why you joke about them. It's like, obviously it's important that people drive, properly on the street. Yeah, it's important, but getting upset about it is just not important.
And if I don't talk about it, I'll end up ripping your head off later.
No, like genuinely getting upset where the veins come out of your brain and stuff nearly. What on earth?
No, my brother's like that a lot. He's pretty intense. He's a really intense person. But
yeah, Godless Iwan, what would you want to discuss next time you're on my channel? That implies that I am coming on your channel, so you better make sure you're super, super prepared, because I will be drunk. I was too sober the last time. I was genuinely too sober. I was making too much sense. I have to be more drunk the next time.
All right. Well, then I'm going to join in on that one too.
That would be fun, yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, I got to get going here pretty quick, Iseth. If somebody's got some more questions, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to rush. But
I'm actually happy because in a couple of minutes, because I put the baby to sleep late so that I could just go on the hangout unquestioned, unstressed. I'm pretty certain in a couple of minutes, maybe half an hour, she will wake up. So I have to go anyway.
So the stress is starting to bubble a little.
No, you don't get stressed, until they figure out how to set the house on fire. You're still chilled.
Yeah, okay.
But I tell you, if there is one thing I've learned, then it is that evolution doesn't work. Because we have like everything in this house. Tried to get it as safe as possible. And still she tries to kill herself. There is no self-preservation instinct in babies whatsoever.
No, there
When
is.
they're like babies, they puke. When they're like toddlers, they whack everything and climb on everything and try to break their skulls. When they're like kids, they start to, try to break out and run away and no, they just can't keep themselves alive.
No, they're evil. They stare at you and then you see their eyes roll up because they're pooping their pants. Oh man.
Hey. Oh, guess who woke up? Talking of the devil. Yeah. Okay. I gotta go.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks.
It was nice talking.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Iseth.
Thanks for inviting me.
There's a link for her in the description. And thank you, everybody, for coming to the chat. Baby's up.
You want to say hi? Say hello. Come on. Say hello. No?
Hi.
Wait. Here. Say hello.
Hi.
Yeah.
How you doing?
She won't reply. She just woke up.
Oh, well, get some coffee in her.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.